joining us. Just time for a quick recap of the week. And unfortunately, we have to begin in South Carolina, where on Wednesday, 9 people were tragically killed at the Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston. It was yet another senseless, horrific act of violence. And even the president seemed tired of this depressingly familiar routine.
Now is the time for mourning and for healing. But let's be clear. At some point, we as a country will have to reckon with the fact that this type of mass violence does not happen in other advanced countries. And it is in our power to do something about it. I say that recognizing the politics in this town foreclose a lot of those avenues right now. And at some point, it's going to be important for the American people to come to grips with it.
He sounds completely defeated, which is understandable. He's made more than a dozen statements about mass shootings in his presidency so far, and nothing has been done. But it's still hard not to feel disillusioned watching the most powerful man in the world sound so hopeless. It's like seeing your father cry for the first time, or catching a department store Santa getting into his Toyota Tercel, or seeing your high school English teacher at the grocery store with a shopping cart full of 14 lean cuisine lasagnas. Oh, Mr. Greenblatt, are those all for you? You taught us to be courageous, but you won't even try eHarmony. This is devastating. I'm devastated, Mr. G. Look, it is pretty clear nothing is going to be done about how this tragedy was committed, which might explain why some have focused on a symbol associated with why it happened. Because in the wake of this racially motivated shooting, some people found one thing especially galling.
The American flag, the state flag, those are at half-staff. The Confederate flag, that has not been lowered at all.
That's right, the Confederate battle flag was flying at full staff in front of the state capitol, although perhaps the bigger question is why it was flying at any staff at all. The Confederate flag is one of those symbols that should really only be seen on T-shirts, belt buckles and bumper stickers to help the rest of us identify the worst people in the world. Oh, I'm sorry, is that a Confederate flag on your belt, Leanne? Thanks for coming in. The nanny position has already been filled. Which is not to say the flag does not have passionate defenders in South Carolina, and that may be why politicians there go through comical contortions to avoid criticising it.
Is it time to stop flying the Confederate flag?
Well, at the end of the day, it's time for people in South Carolina to revisit that decision. Would be fine with me, but this is part of who we are. The flag represents to some people a civil war, and that was the symbol of one side. To others, it's a racist symbol, and it's been used by people. It's been used in a racist way.
Yeah, it has. In fact, I believe the first time the Confederate flag was used in a racist way was the exact second they finished sewing the very first one. It was around that time. Now, to be somewhat fair, lowering the flag outside the state capitol is a little more difficult than it sounds.
The flag cannot be lowered for any reason because it is affixed to that pole. It can't be raised or lowered. And if that flag is to be removed or lowered or anything done to it, you have to get, I think it's 2/3 majority vote in each chamber of the state assembly to do it.
Yeah, it needs a 2/3 vote. They were originally going to make it 3/5, but even they thought that might be a bit on the nose. Just a bit on the nose. Now look, South Carolina. And indeed, any state that flies this flag, even as part of their actual state flag, Mississippi, holy shit! Now might be a great time, out of respect not just for the events of this week, but for the events of the past several centuries, to take that vote and lower the flag down to half-staff. And then, when it's at half-staff, why not keep lowering it all the way down, and once you're holding it in your hands, take it off the flagpole completely, fold it, or don't bother, put it in a box, label it bad flag, and put it somewhere no one can see it. Just a thought. It's just a simple, good thought. Let's move on now to Russia, a country that will continue to be funny until it suddenly isn't. With summer here, you may be wondering where to take your family on vacation. Well, on Tuesday, Russia unveiled a brand new option.
It's called Patriot Park, and when it's finished, it's set to become a kind of Russian military Disneyland where children can clamber over heavy weaponry, even play with grenade launchers instead of riding on the normal kind of fairground attractions.
Okay. As an adult, I'm horrified, but as a former child, I'm incredibly jealous that theme parks now exist where you can play with grenade launchers. British children just got taken to P.G. Woodhouse's faux pas mansion. It didn't have rides so much as a selection of chairs. Russia's Patriot Park is actually due to open in 2017, but they've released an early promotional video for it, showing that every part of it is designed to celebrate the Russian military, from the contents of the park to how you get there.
It can be reached by bus from the metro stop Park Pobyeды, by train from Belaruski railway station, or by car by taking the 55th exit off the Minskaya highway. The exit is made out of two large, demountable transport bridges, as used by the Russian military.
That's right. Even the highway exit to the park is on theme. That may be taking things a bit too far. Even SeaWorld doesn't make you enter by driving over a tortured orca. And SeaWorld loves torturing orcas. They love it so much. Russia is spending an estimated $370 million on this park, which might sound like a lot for a country currently suffering under international sanctions and low oil prices. But going by their video, they are almost alarmingly unconcerned about that.
More than 500 examples of military equipment will be on display in a special 100,000 square metre open space area.
Did you see that? There is going to be an area literally called the Military Industrial Complex. And sure, you could argue that Eisenhower saw this coming, but I don't recall him mentioning in his speech anything about it one day getting so big that Russian kids could physically walk through it eating a fucking churro. Finally this week, money. It turns out if you offer Robert De Niro enough of it, he'll appear in The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. This week brought a very exciting development in US currency.
The $10 bill is being redesigned and will feature the first woman on the nation's paper currency in more than a century.
Great. That feels, why not? That feels like progress. Of the embarrassingly late kind. It's kind of like when a company announces their first female vice president. It makes you think, really? OK, well, congratulations on finally doing the second least you could do. And even in this instance, it turns out campaigners had been hoping for something a little more.
The pick of the $10 bill is a bit of a surprise. Over the last several months, a campaign to put a woman on the $20 bill went viral.
Yeah, of course they wanted the 20. The 20 is a much better bill to be on. The only person in America who regularly uses the 10 is Richard Gere, and that's only to show his hairstylist the look that he's going for. A look that he has nailed. He has nailed it. Now, Treasury Secretary Jack Lew was actually asked why women had only been offered the 10, and he responded in magnificently awkward fashion.
What would you say to people who say, you know, the 10, it's not as prestigious as the $20 bill. You can't get that at every ATM.
I think the $10 bill is a pretty big deal.
But it's not the 20.
You know, I think the $10 bill is one of our most widely used bills, and it is, I think, is as important as the 20.
Bullshit! It's as important as the 20. Bullshit! That's the equivalent of claiming Liam Hemsworth is as important as Chris Hemsworth. You're fooling yourself. Liam's useful, sure. He'll do you in a pinch, but he's exactly half as good as Chris. End of discussion. Hashtag half a Hemsworth. End of discussion. And the crazy thing is, it actually makes much more sense to kick Andrew Jackson off the 20 than Alexander Hamilton off the 10. Hamilton was America's first Treasury Secretary. He proposed setting up both a national bank and a national mint. Andrew Jackson didn't even trust paper money.
Jackson took a kind of fundamentalist view of money and credit. Gold and silver dollars were real money. Paper was, in some sense, fake.
That's true. Andrew Jackson hated paper money, and yet we've stamped his face all over it. It would be like having Guy Fieri branded quinoa. Or putting Tom Cruise's face on an antidepressant ad. That would make him furious, and you don't want that. He's OT level 16. He can move objects with his mind. He could do it. But the thing is, in an amazing twist, it turns out Hamilton won't be completely shut out of the $10 bill after all.
If you're a big fan of Alexander Hamilton, don't despair. The Treasury Department says that his image will remain in some way on at least some of the $10 bills.
Oh, so a woman's not getting her own bill at all? She'll be splitting it with Alexander Hamilton. This is basically the perfect embodiment of the women's rights movement. Women ask for something they've earned, a bunch of men get together and talk about it, and then they give the women half and ask her to share it. And now, this.
And now, C-SPAN callers suggest women for the $10 bill.
We want to know what you think. Who should be on the $10 bill?
It should be the Blessed Virgin Mary, which everybody on the earth knows her picture.
Yeah, Ayn Rand, if this country ever does make it, we owe a great debt of gratitude to her.
The best of the lot, I'm going to tell you, Amelia Earhart. A lot of people think she was executed by the Japanese in the South Pacific. Nobody knows.
Sally Ride, Sacagawea, Eleanor Roosevelt, Harriet Tubbs. I'd rather see a wolf, a bear, a cougar, an eagle.
I think it should be Princess Diana.
Princess Diana. So someone who is not American.
Well, I still think she ought to be on there.
Moving on. Our main story tonight concerns the internet. It's a place where you can see incredible things like glamour shots of cats, Angora show bunnies, or even this rare, heartbreaking footage of an injured World War I soldier returning home to his pregnant wife.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
You idiots! I got you so good! I got you so good! The internet has been blowing our minds with its power and convenience for decades, as you can see in this actual AOL ad from the 90s.
Hey, Dan, ready for the game? I'm just finishing up here with my new kayaking friends.
Kayaking friends on your computer?
Yeah, I just got America Online.
Sounds great. Listen, I can't go to the game today.
What?
I've got to send something for my mom's birthday. It's tomorrow. I'll then book plane tickets for our trip next week, and my kids got to go to the library to look up dinosaurs.
Hey, we can take care of all that before we go.
Yeah, right.
Oh, with America Online.
Wait, let me get this right. Your mum's birthday is tomorrow, your trip is next week, and you're only planning both of those things now? Forget the AOL tutorial. Let's talk about basic responsibility here, Dan. You're a father! But as the ad goes on to point out, the internet was going to fix everything.
Call now for 10 free hours of America Online and get instant access to the worlds of sports, finance, computing, and entertainment.
Here come the dinosaurs. I saved you a trip to the library.
That's great.
Yeah, downloading is easy, too. You know, I can even send email on the internet. And, of course, there's my personal favorite, live chat. That's how I met my new kayaking buddies.
OK. I'm now pretty sure that kayaking buddies is a euphemism. I'm not saying that he's not going to meet his new buddies in a shed by a lake. I'm just saying there's not going to be a kayak involved. Amazingly, that ad was 20 years ago, and the internet has become integral to modern life. But unfortunately, it's also become a haven for harassment. And I'm not talking about everyday internet abuse, of which I am more than aware. Look at our YouTube page, and you'll see comments like, "This guy's a fucking dumbass." I don't know why, but I always picture John Oliver as a puffin. And watch his hands, his fingers are like creepy spider legs. Which is ridiculous because, oh God! Oh, get off me! No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the kind of direct threats that can make people fear for their safety. And if you're thinking, well, come on, that doesn't seem like that big a problem, well, congratulations on your white penis. Because if you have one of those, you probably have a very different experience of the internet. Women in particular can receive a veritable cornucopia of horrifying messages online. Just listen to one female video gamer discussing one of the more colourful threats that she's seen.
I think the one that always sticks out in my mind is, I'm going to stick an egg in your vaginal canal and punch it. And I don't know why, but that one is just, it's poignant.
You know what, it is kind of poignant. Fun fact for you, I'm going to stick an egg in your vaginal canal and punch it was actually the original title of Eat, Pray, Love. So there's a little fact for you. And that threat was comparatively mild. Others can be chillingly specific and potentially dangerous. Listen to how these women were treated when they spoke out against what they saw as sexism in the video game industry.
I'm constantly aware of the fact that there's an enormous amount of hate directed towards me.
Hate in the form of bomb threats, rape threats, even death threats.
They told me they were coming to kill me. When someone posts your address online and they tell you they're going to murder your whole family, you don't really feel safe staying at that location.
Yeah, no shit. I wouldn't blame her for not feeling safe staying on Earth. For the record, if someone did that to me, I'd hitch a ride to the International Space Station straight away, except who am I kidding? They'd never let me in. I've got spiders for hands! The internet is mean! And look, this does not just affect women in gaming. It can potentially affect any woman who makes the mistake of having a thought in her mind and then vocalising it online.
For many female writers and public figures, this day-to-day harassment is their life. Earlier this year, writer Amanda Hess detailed her experience.
The threats were obviously distressing. It was an anonymous person on Twitter threatening to come to my house, to rape me, to cut off my head.
And in case you think she's exaggerating, here are some of the tweets she's referring to. Happy to say we live in the same state. I'm looking you up, and when I find you, I'm going to rape you and remove your head. And I am 36 years old. I did 12 years for manslaughter. I killed a woman like you who decided to make fun of guys' cocks. Which is horrifying for so many reasons. First, he put manslaughter in quotes, like he still doesn't think it's a crime. And also, he put his age, like he's writing the world's worst OkCupid profile. I'm 36 years old, I've killed before, and I've got a pretty weird-shaped penis. The thing is, when Amanda Hess went to the police, she quickly discovered how ill-equipped they can be to deal with this sort of thing.
In my home state of California, it's a crime to threaten bodily harm against another person. When I received my most sort of recent bout of threats, said the police officer who came to my door didn't even understand what Twitter was, had no idea how to investigate such a crime, and I'm not even sure knew that it was criminal. So it's hard to know what to do when you're put in that situation.
That's a problem, because the police cannot investigate a crime if they genuinely don't understand the medium in which it happened. If someone tried to drown you, you don't want the police saying, I get the murder attempt, but what's this water thing you keep bringing up? Is it like air, but a bit more choky? Is that what it is? And women aren't just threatened and harassed online. The internet has thrown up a whole new way to wreck their lives. It's called revenge porn. You may have heard of it. It's when naked photos of people are posted online without their consent. And it can be devastating. This is Anne-Marie Chiarini, an English professor who let her then-boyfriend take some private photos of her. Now, after they broke up, he sent them to her employer and her son's kindergarten teacher, and then this happened.
I received an anonymous email at work that a profile had been created of me. Someone was pretending to be me, and there were nude pictures on this profile. So I Googled my name, and the porn website X-Hamster came up. And there was my first and last name, the name of the college where I teach, the town where I live, and a solicitation for sex.
Now, that obviously sounds like a nightmare, and sadly, the horror of that situation led her to some pretty dark places.
My actual thoughts were, this is my life. This is never going to end, so I need to end my life. Because I could not live like that. So after I found the profile, I attempted suicide.
Now, you would assume that it's illegal to do that to someone. The problem is, there is no federal law specifically against revenge porn, and in Maryland, where she lived, revenge porn was not illegal at the time. In fact, only 23 states have passed laws specifically against revenge porn. In the other 27, it's one of those things that should be explicitly illegal, but isn't. Like using a golf umbrella in Manhattan, or returning from a semester abroad in Spain and insisting on calling it Barcelona. You are the worst. The worst. The point is, if you are a victim of revenge porn in one of those 27 states, your options are limited. You can try to pursue stalking or harassment charges, but those laws may not always apply. Or you can file a civil suit against the person who did it, but as Anne-Marie Chiarini found out, you face an uphill battle.
I did go to lawyers in 2010 to handle this civilly, and the first one said, well, you know, you really should get better boyfriends. I won't take this case. The second one I approached said, well, it's going to be a $5,000 upfront retainer, and this could run anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 when all said and done. I'm a single mom of 2. I work 2 jobs. I don't have $5,000, never mind 15.
Yeah, of course you don't. Because most people don't keep a shoebox full of money marked just in case a total piece of shit tries to ruin my life. Now, you could ask the website to take the photos down if you own the copyright. But if they refuse, then winning your lawsuit might entail doing something absolutely mind-blowing.
You can sue, but to do that, you've got to register the copyright. Which brings us to the cold, hard truth. In the most extreme case, you've got to send pictures of your naked body to the Copyright Office. That's in Washington.
Yes. To stop strangers from seeing pictures of their naked body, some women have had to send more strangers more pictures of their naked body. We are one step away from trying to protect our children in the future by having the copyright symbol tattooed onto their genitals at birth. Look, just to be safe, let's take her to Viper's Ink Shack. We don't know what kind of arsehole she could end up meeting. This situation is insane. And as one expert found, the official response to victims ranges from offensive to ridiculous.
I've interviewed 60 victims of online harassment. What they're often told is, look, either if it's revenge porn, you shared pictures with your ex, he owns it now. Like, sorry that you trusted the person, but it's kind of your fault, right? Or they're told, look, if it's just harassment generally, like, turn off your computer, ignore it, it'll go away.
But turn off your computer is simply not practical. Almost every job requires the internet now. Somewhere right now in the world, there is a yak herder going, why's the Wi-Fi so slow? Fuck it, I'll herd these yaks after lunch. And that whole distinctly victim-blamey sentiment of, if you didn't want this to happen, you shouldn't have taken photos, is hardwired into mainstream culture. Just watch how the news talks about this whenever it comes up.
How best to avoid this problem? Experts say don't take pictures and then share them.
I think that the teachable moment and the takeaway is you just can't take these pictures. You know what? Don't take naked photos of yourself.
Listen. One of the solutions to the problem is don't take pictures of yourself naked. Okay, we've said that.
Good point. But kids, don't take pictures of yourself naked and put it on the internet. It's gonna come up some point.
And what if it doesn't come up until you're a parent and then you gotta explain that?
What the fuck are you talking about? For a start, not taking pictures doesn't always work. Sometimes these photos come from hacked webcams, but regardless of that, it doesn't matter how it happens. Because here's a fun game. Insert any other crime into those same sentences. Listen, guys, if you don't want to get burgled, don't live in a house. If you're a parent, how are you going to explain that break-in to your kids? And look, I'm well aware that asking law enforcement to police speech is a dicey proposition. No one wants them trawling through message boards looking for violent language. But if a woman turns up to a police station saying someone threatened her life on Twitter, the answer, what's Twitter, is woefully inadequate. And as for revenge porn, we're going to need some new laws. Fortunately, there are plans to introduce a bill in Congress called the Intimate Privacy Protection Act that aims to address non-consensual pornography. And we've obtained an exclusive video of one representative's genuinely moving speech about balancing First Amendment rights and protecting victims.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
I got you again! You're a bunch of idiots and I'm the king of pranks! Now, if passed, this law, as drafted, would make it a crime to post revenge porn. And don't worry, it would still leave us with plenty of internet porn to keep us going. And also, the law would carve out exceptions for the bona fide public interest, meaning that if, say, a public figure like Anthony Weiner texted his penis around, we could all still enjoy that story. Now, not being able to enjoy it would not be a danger.
Danger!
Although the truth is, the law can only do so much. Companies need to be much more diligent about clamping down on this, and they are slowly coming around. In recent months, Twitter and Reddit banned revenge porn on their sites, and just this Friday, Google finally announced, after much prodding, it would remove photos of revenge porn from search results upon request. And for Google to do that is not nothing, because we all know not even vindictive perverts will use Bing. They won't do it. Not even they will go near that thing. They're not monsters. And for the rest of us, it comes down to us and to fundamentally changing the way that we think about the internet. Because too often, you hear people play down the dangers of the internet by saying, well, relax, it's not real life. But it is, and it always has been. The whole point of those AOL ads 20 years ago was that what you did online would affect your life immediately. Nowadays, you can click a button and buy a book, meet your spouse, or ruin someone's life. Sometimes those last two are the same click. But we all know the internet is an incredible tool, but like most tools, it can be used as a weapon. And we've allowed things to get to a place where women can fear for their lives for something they said online and find themselves mailing their genitals to Washington in order to maintain their privacy. And perhaps we would have dealt with this earlier if only those AOL ads had looked something like this.
Every day, the internet is making it easier for people to live, work, and play.
Hey, Dan, ready for the game? I'm just finishing up here with my new kayaking friends.
Wow, that's a really specific thing to say. Listen, I'm not going to be able to make the game tonight.
Oh, why?
Well, I have to go out into the streets and scream obscenities at women that I don't even know. And then after that, I got to handwrite letters to all the Golden Girls telling them that I'm going to shit down their throats. And then after that, I got to bring these naked photos of my ex-wife to her office and show them to everyone that she works with because she's such a bitch. It's going to take hours.
Hey, we can do all of that before we go.
Yeah, right.
No, with the internet. Look, it's easy. See, here's a random woman from Minneapolis who just said how she felt about something. You want me to make her fear for her life?
Why not? But how?
Done.
Incredible. What else can this thing do to women?
With the internet, the only limit to how miserable you can make another human being is how angry you are and how fast you can type.
Hey, but what about those photos of my ex-wife?
Oh, that's my favorite part. All you have to do is scan them into this site and then people can see it instantly. Her boss, her friends, her parents, everyone.
Everyone?
Everyone.
Everyone?
Everyone.
And this is legal?
There's no federal law explicitly against it.
That seems insane.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Anyway, come on, we're gonna be late for the game.
Can't wait.
Afterwards, I'm gonna fuck some of my new kayaking buddies.
What?
The internet, a dark carnival of humanity's most wretched impulses. Also sports, weather, and pictures of cats.
That's our show. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next week. Good night.
You ready to go to the game? I'm just finishing up here with my new kayaking friends.
Listen, I'm not going to be able to make the game tonight.
Oh, no. Why?
I got to go to my wife's office. If you're going to type like a fucking idiot.